Am I on? Oh, I'm on. Awesome. Right, I'm Rob, and I'm actually doing a talk on ponies. I just thought it'd be funny to put it up because I'm a joker. Ha ha ha. Okay, anyway, I'm Rob, and I write code, and I am going to talk about building and testing Node apps. Full stack things, you know. I'm actually going to sit down and be really boring. I noticed Gary and Hadi were all over the stage like this, being really energetic. But that's not me. I can't do that. I need to sit down and do tappy, tappy, tappy things. So, what am I going to talk about? Not that. There you go. Oh, that's bad. That's the wrong slide. There we go. Okay. So, I did mention in the abstract that I'm talking about beyond the Hello World application. But first, before I commence into the wonderful world of Node, I want to do a Hello World application anyway to make sure everybody's up to speed. How many of you guys have used Node before? Wow! Happy days. Which means you're all really happy people because you've used Node. Or really unhappy because you're still writing .NET. Yeah, I know that feeling. Sucks to be you. I've been paid to write Node for the past 6 months, and I have to say I'm very happy. It makes me very happy. So this is good. I'm glad that people have actually seen and used Node now, because it means my job is that much easier. So let's go and look at Hello World, shall we? There's a demo. Wonderful. So we've all seen this. I'm actually going to remove my ponies now, because that's not going to help you see my code. It's distracting. I like to code with ponies in the background because it makes me happier. All JavaScript needs ponies. So there's Hello World, right? I'm going to deconstruct this and show you one of the reasons I like working in Node for building HTTP things. And I'm going to continue on from that to then build an application. I'm going to sit down and do live code. I'm going to do it. I haven't done it for 2 years because it always ends hilariously badly. This will no doubt will be no exception, but I'm a masochist and I love pain. So, Hello World. Let's deconstruct it. What's actually going on here? First thing we notice is that, great, I've brought a module in, that's boring. And I call this create server doohickey here. This is very happy. Create server takes in a callback, which takes the form of a function, which takes in a request and a response and does some stuff with those objects. And then listens on a port, something like that. Okay, good. Let's take this. That's not what I actually wanted to do. Oh dear. So I'm really rubbish at Vim, as you can plainly see. Let's take that and move it down here. There we go. And I say handle request. Because actually, when you're writing Node, it's better to split things out rather than doing anonymous callbacks everywhere. Excellent stuff. And now I've done that, I might want to say, well, every single thing I do in Node, I can do as a set of functions. I can have a function for doing write some content, taking a request and a res, right? I can do that. And there's write content, and I can say function over here. Right, end request, wonderful times. And I can do most things as a combination of these functions. We've taken these things, so it's handle request. Check out my lead coding abilities. It's all going well so far, you know. All right. I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise. And what I can actually do is say, that's not going to work, because this could be an asynchronous operation. So you start saying, well, actually, I can actually represent any action in my chain as a combination of a function, which says, I'm going to do something request and response, and then call the next callback. That's going to happen. Right? I'm just going to do that. There you go. I'm not going to do that, actually. It's a bad place to do it. And there we go. I can say, for handlers equals. I'm not going to write all of this because it won't work if I do anyway. What I actually say is handlers.push and pass in my write content and handlers.push and push in my end request. I'm actually reinventing something here. I'm actually moving towards the way that most things work in an HTTP application in Node. Because what I can actually do is say, function handle request. All it's going to do is go through those handlers and invoke them one by one. So index equals 0 and for handler equals. Great. If handler, etc. So if I open what I've actually done already, because there's no way this will actually work, because I can't do live code to save my life, I can say, wonderful. I don't care. Wonderful. I can actually build up an application as a combination of callbacks that do something on my request and response. And I can keep pressing buttons and make Vim go crazy as well. You've all been there, right? We've all used Vim and done crazy things with it and gone, oh god, the caps lock key's on and everything's gone wrong. What I've done here is invent something called Connect. And Connect is a module that lives inside NPM, and Connect is a really cool thing which says, I'm going to say that every single module built around HTTP can be built up as something that takes in a request and a response and a next callback and does something with those objects. This is kind of like Owin, only that it didn't take 2 years and 12 people wearing white coats to come up with it. It just kind of happened, which is kind of awesome. So anyway, that's Connect, which is nice. That's too big. So, everything can be represented as that, and there's an npm package called Connect. Good. Actually, you don't want to start there. You want to start with something that brings all these concepts together and bundles a bunch of Connect modules together and tidies all the stuff up for you. So this is what Express is. Express comes with a big pile of Connect modules to do various things and gets you a bit of a fast start into building some form of HTTP application inside Node, which is wonderful. And I can install that, npm install Express. npm is the package manager in Node, for those who don't know. It's kind of like NuGet, but it works. It's awesome. I'm not bitter at all about .NET. I'm really not. All right, so that's enough of like playing around and intro. I hope you've all caught up with me now. Node, I run a program and I can start a HTTP server and I can build an application by doing things on request and response. That's all I want to say. My talk's done, I'm going. Not really, sorry. I have built an application which is glorious. As you can see, it's pretty awesome. It's got a lot of functionality. If I go ahead and run this now, hopefully it'll work. As you can see, I got a lot of work done. Yeah, indeed. So anyway, I've got an application that works, but I've got no handler specified. Express sets up a web server and says, oh, what are you going to do now, mate? Right, well, thankfully, I know what I'm going to do now because I wrote all my code beforehand. Check out that. Just how live code goes well. I copy code from somewhere else, just like a real enterprise dev. I'm kidding. But only a little bit. All right, cool. So what Express gives you out of the box is some routing Connect functionality and some other things as well. So what I can do is say, well, when you call get like this, here's my function with request and response. And it makes me happy. And I can say res.write hello world. We've seen this before. Right? So it's kind of like my first program, only now I've got some kind of pattern matching on my stuff. Look at that, hello world. My demo's working. Check out that, Gary. Yeah, thank you, okay. It's going to carry on like this from now on. All of my demos are going to work. Once I'm past the first one, everything goes really well. For those that don't know, like all of my demos past like year or so have just gone hilariously wrong. Normally at the point of plugging in my laptop. So to get past the hello world makes me very happy. Okay, cool. Well, that's actually useless. I don't want to be writing blobs of text to response. That doesn't actually help me do very much. So what I might actually want to do is serve some static files from a directory. Okay, good. Let's go look at that. We're elite speak, aren't we? Yes, because we are elite. Load of modules. So I've made a directory called site over here, which I hope you can all see. So there you go, wonderful. At the very top over there. I've got some stuff in there. Most importantly, I've got hello.html, which is just a static file with hello world in it again. I'm going to like beat the record for the most numbers of hello worlds in a single demo here anytime soon. So how am I going to do this? Well, funnily enough, there's a connect module. So I can say to the server, I can say, could you please use this? And oops, set, that's the wrong thing. Please use this connect module. And there's something already built into Express to serve static files. And this static thing, all it's going to be implemented as is a handler which takes in a request and a response and calls the next callback if it didn't handle it, which is nice. So, theoretically, this will work. Because, as we all know, demos always work first time. So I got hello.html. Hello world. Okay, wonderful. Second demo worked. We're doing well here. We are building an application. I still like ponies as well, apparently. Okay. So that's a connect module. So what's going to happen is that's going to get ran, and if that failed to handle my request, this will get ran. The order I put things in. Although, actually, serving static content isn't exactly what I really want to do. What I really want is some form of view engine. Now, I'm a hipster, so I hate semicolons. And I also hate angle brackets. Any form of XML is abhorrent. So XML, semicolons, no thank you. Don't like those things. I don't want to write anything at all. So I'm going to use something called Jade, which, convenient enough, comes inside an NPM package. I'm going to have to install that because I haven't got it yet. So I'm going to do that now. When you look, the Wi-Fi is working, and oh, the Wi-Fi is working. I am blessed today, truly. Okay, good. So what I can say to Express is, please use Jade. Now, Express has some more connect functionality in there, specifically to help you with view engines. So I can actually give some settings and say, look, your view engine, it's Jade. Which is a cool name, by the way. And I can say to it, OK, good. The views live in a folder which is imaginarily titled views. And I can say that please use the Jade engine comes from this lovely _ express thing over here. I'm not sure what's with the underscores. I don't like underscores normally. I think they make my code look ugly. I don't like ugly code because semicolons, angle brackets, underscores. But I'm going to live with the underscores this time. So good. What I've said to this is, please use the view engine Jade. Views are in here, and this is the engine I expect you to use. And Express is going to go, OK, cool. So down here, I've got a folder called Views. Let me show you Jade. It's one of the sexiest things in the world. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's pretty cool. Everyone see that? There are no semicolons. There are no angle brackets. There's nothing. It's wonderful. I can say, hey, give some HTML, please. So I've got a master file there, and I've got my index over here, and that's quite a lot of stuff, but whatever. I've written this already because I'm a cheating person. So there's a view. It's wonderful. Having the view isn't quite enough. What I need to actually do is return a view. So I'm going to say, well, actually, when you get from here, I'm not going to write hello world anymore because hello world's boring. What I'm going to do is do response.render. I'm going to render the index, and I'm going to give it a model. For now, my model is going to be an empty array of things because I really can't bother doing this properly. OK. So I run this now and go to the root. This will work. Look at that. OK, good. So my Jade's been rendered. Happy days. The markup is absolutely awful, I've got to say. So I've done some styling already. I'm going to show you some more stuff in a second. But the point is, here, what I've done is basically added more handlers to the request response chain, which is kind of awesome. I love doing things like that. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to add some CSS. But I hate semicolons, and CSS has semicolons in it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use something called stylus, because I'm a hipster. Which live in views, probably. There we go. It's a stylus. Check out this. All right. For some reason, oh, dear me. I've actually broken my code. It's OK. By using my Vim skills, my Leap Vim skills, I can do that. There we go. I fixed everything. Look at that. This is in no way going to go wrong. This is going to be great. This is stylus. It's one of the magical CSS compiled thingies that exist. You got less Sass, and you got Stylus, which is like better than all of them because I use it. It's better than, whichever one you've chosen, this is better because I use it. But next week I might use something else, so try and keep up. Cool thing about this is that we're able to do nesting, so I can say that actually anything of class avatar that lives under class shoutout, please do this thing too. I haven't got to write lots of tedious CSS, and that's why I like it. But I've got a problem. I've now got this, and I can't give that to the browser because the browser has no idea what the heck I'm talking about. So what am I going to do? Well, take a wild guess. I'm going to bring another module. I'm going to bring a stylus, which is going to work because everything else has so far. Wow, this internet's pretty good. I love Sweden. I've been to conferences where I've had to do everything over 3G before, and it's really awkward trying to do a cloud deploy over 3G. You have to like make jokes and things, and that's something I'm very good at. So I walk on a stage looking stupid for half an hour while things like tick on the screen very slowly. So anyway, I can bring a stylus. Surprise, surprise. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add it to my chain of things. And I'm going to say, look, please use this function, which comes in the form of request response next. And I want to configure the middleware from stylus. That's what all this stuff's called, by the way. When I'm configuring that, I'm going to say, look, you're going to find all your stuff in underscore dir name. Whoever decided underscores were a good idea, I'm just not cool with that. Sadly, there's no way of avoiding them yet. Okay, I'm not going to bother debugging. Awesome. So what this has done, this has just returned a function under the form request response next. And I've written some bad code somewhere because JSLint is complaining at me. I'm so sorry, I missed out a brace. Okay, good. JSLint, by the way, is pretty wicked. Good. Now I've done that, theoretically, if I run my application, nothing happens. Well, there you go, my first failed demo. It's okay, I'm going to stay cool. Oh, thank you so much, thank you. Now, watch as I stay cool and unflummoxed. I'm going to open my debugger over here. I'm going to move that down there somewhere convenient, and I'm going to hit refresh and say, oh no, it is there, and it's fully complete. I just broke all my CSS somewhere and somehow. Well, I don't care. I'm going to rerun my application. That's probably going to help, actually. There, that's what it is. I didn't run my application again. Help. Probably. Oh dear. Well, I have to say, I have truly foobarred things. But that's okay, because one of life's joys is debugging why things aren't working. So, who wants to help me with this? I've got like something and some more somethings, and they're supposed to be gloriously styled, and they are not. Well, you know what, I don't care. You know, it's just not my problem anymore. I'm going to move on with my life. I'm going to zoom out and pretend it looks all right. Okay. Well, it's the right way to do it, okay? If it doesn't look right, just say it's a customer error and tell them to zoom the browser out. It's cool. All right. So I'm serving static content already, which makes us all very happy. But you know what's really missing from this whole picture? Tests. I haven't got any tests. I've just written a pile of code and configured a load of things, and I've got no way of making sure that in the future I don't completely mess things up and break it. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to write some tests. And you're going to love this. This is going to be the best part of my talk, in fact, my tests. Everyone always gets very wowed about them. All right. So I'm going to open, in my tests, loading the homepage.coffee. Awesome. Now, because I'm cool, I prepared something earlier in the form of a test context and scenario. We don't really need to care about that too much, but I'm just going to show it to you. It's just some code which, on starting, chooses a random port to listen on, launches the server by calling fork, waits for it to be finished, and that's it. I can ask it to create a client, which it'll configure to point at my awesome URL, and then I've got a nice client over here with a convenience method on it to help me do some stuff. This is going to blow your minds if you've not seen it before. It blew my mind. So, check out this test. Loading the home page. First thing you'll notice is I'm not using JavaScript, I'm using CoffeeScript. I am the best troll ever. CoffeeScript's gorgeous, right? Yes, Haddy? So the question is it a BDD or TDD framework? I'm afraid to say it is actually a BDD framework, but that does not necessarily mean I'm doing BDD. It just means that I'm writing tests that look pretty. There's a difference between those two things, and I'm not going to go into it because then we'd be here for the next 2 hours arguing about it. And I prefer to show you some demos first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my system, and I'm going to create my client. That's pretty easy. And I say, given the server is running, which is not very BDD-ish, but I don't care, I'm going to start that system up. Oh, that's actually asynchronous. That's not going to work. Quickly, fix it. Isn't CoffeeScript beautiful, by the way? It's good, isn't it? When the client loads the home page, this is amazing. So, client dot, I had no idea what it's called. Have a look. Ah, the index. There you go. Who needs IntelliSense? I have Vim. Then, what shall I assert on? I'm going to assert on... Well, there's not much to assert on, really, is there? I don't know. The page title is Shout Out. There we go. There, awesome. Should equal... What is it anyway? Shout Out. Awesome. So anyway, this test is actually all but useless, but I don't really care. Now, one thing here is that I'm using this thing called should, which is awesome because it adds a method to the prototype of object where you can start calling should on everything, which makes you feel really warm and fuzzy inside because you're like writing English. Yeah, all right. Living the CoffeeScript dream. After this test runs, I'm just going to shut down the system because I haven't worked out a clever way of doing that yet. So I'm going to do it automatically. What I have done in my code is I check that if I'm still running a system after running one test, I throw a massive exception and say, Rob, you're a dumbass, call dispose. So, you know, that's like defensive programming for noobs. It's awesome. So I'm now going to install should, because I haven't got it yet. Wow. I'm also going to install Mocha Cakes, which is something I'm using here, which has a load of dependencies. Look at all that. Awesome. And now I'm going to run my tests. Drum roll. Wow. Look how fast that was. Isn't that awesome? So in our node world, what we have is the ability to basically run our program because it's just a command line program, which then launches an HTTP server, call a web request using a headless browser I use called Zombie, and live happily ever after. So about that, I'm using Zombie. Zombie is pretty damn cool, and it amazes when people are still trying to play around with Selenium and things like that, because, man, those guys are growing old fast. Zombie is a headless web browser written completely in JavaScript. It's awesome, like entirely. It uses something called JS DOM, which is an implementation of the DOM written entirely in JavaScript. 99.9% complete on all 3 levels. Wow. Those people had a lot of time on their hands, but thanks to those people having a lot of time on their hands, we now have the ability to load a web page, navigate to a URL, and execute all the JavaScript, which is awesome. So I'm writing my tests in JavaScript, well, kind of. I'm launching my server, which is written in JavaScript, and I'm executing everything on the client, which is probably written in JavaScript as well. Not that I have very much of that yet. So that's pretty neat. I'm now going to add some functionality. I like functionality. And now I've actually got some kind of test harness. I'm going to start by writing a test. So I'm going to write a test called adding a shoutout. By the way, I wrote the last test without even looking at my screen over here. That's preparation for you. It's the best demos ever. All right. So, adding a shoutout. I've not got the greatest imagination in the world. I tried to think of an application to build, and I was playing around with ponies and things like that, but I thought you guys might get bored of ponies for some reason. I don't know why that is, but people don't quite share my fascination for them. It saddens me quite a lot. So anyway, I'm going to create my client, and I'm going to leave that for now, actually. That's me copy and code again. Ooh, enterprisey. So anyway, given the users on the home page, which is nice, they do that, and actually I probably done for that. I can start my system, and then I can say client.loadIndex. Wow, look at that. If these aren't the best tests you've ever seen, I want to see those tests that you've seen. I want to live them, because damn. So anyway, when the user writes a shout out, as you can see, I've got a form there with some stuff on it. So I'm going to say client.fill. I'm going to fill in my name, which is Princess Twilight. And I'm going to fill out my shout out. And I'm going to say, oh my god. Oh my god, zombie. And when I submit it, over here, very much, I'm going to say client.submit shout out. Now this is actually an important thing I'm doing here. You'll notice that I've actually got quite a lot of nice things on my client context. I'm going to show you a little more about that later. What this means is, for the most part, I'm not coupling my tests to an underlying markup. At least I'm trying not to. For the more low-level tests, you need to actually go and get specific DOM elements and do things like checking their text content. But as soon as you have more than one or two of those things, you want to push them into some kind of base context. So when you change your markup, your tests either don't break, or if they do break, you can go and change them in one place and all tests start working again. And thankfully, because we're not using Selenium, it doesn't take half-hour debug cycles to work out when they're broken or not. So this is not a painful experience, which is nice. Anyway, when I've done that, the shout-out should appear on the page. Now, one thing you will notice here is that I'm not having to worry about timing and things like that. I'm submitting a shout-out. I've got no idea what that code's doing. Now, what I'm probably going to try and do is, when I click the button, I'm going to take the information from that form, and I'm going to post an AJAX request back to the server, get some markup back, and put that on the page. Zombie has access to the actual event loop, and what that means is, it can tell when all things have finished. It goes, I've not heard anything in a while, everything must be done. What that means is you haven't got to worry about things like that. If you're trying to automate a browser by clicking buttons on that browser, you'll find a lot of the time you've got timing issues because you've made a web request and you don't know how long it's going to take. And that either means you're starting to do sleeps and timeouts all over the place, or trying to do hacky logic around that stuff. And it not only means your tests are slower than they have to be, it also means that tests are brittle and horrible too. So this kind of solves that problem, which, again, makes me very happy. I'm a very happy person today. Mostly because of all the coffee I've been drinking. But, we take our drugs where we can. So, I'm going to find the shout-out on the page. I'm going to get the first one, because there's only one there anyway. And I'm just going to go, shout-out in this case, by the way, is a DOM element. I say it's a DOM element, but we're in the server, kind of, even though we're in the client, but the server's not the client, but the client's not the server. Do you follow that? No, me neither. So, I'm going to assert on the text content of that. And I'm going to say text content should hopefully equal Princess Twilight. I hope so anyway. And I'm also going to say that, oh no, check it out me. I'm going to do two asserts in the same test because I am a Node badass. I don't care. Okay, I'm not typing that. That's just not. That's not happening. I didn't think about this, did I? Thankfully, I'm like a Vim user and stuff. Was that not the most amazing Vim you've ever seen in your life? No? Oh, never mind. I got excited for a moment there. I was really pleased with myself. So I've just come back from a Node conference, and everyone was really pleased for themselves. And it's kind of rubbed off me a little bit. I'm feeling really smug and superior right now. After this talk, you can put a lot of red cards in the bucket and help me with that feeling if you want to. I won't hold it against you. Seriously, as a community goes, the Node community is probably one of the most smug ones I've ever met, with the exception of Ruby. Ruby was worse. But Ruby's worse in a lot of ways. I mean, seriously, devoting your life around a language where the primary goal appears to be avoiding writing for loops is, yeah. CoffeeScript's not much better. There's like 15 ways to rank a for loop. I just choose not to use them. All right, anyway, there's my awesome test, and I'm going to run that. With any luck, it'll just fail. Look at that. Oh my god! Oh my god, it failed! And, okay, couldn't find anything. Oh my god. Okay, cool. I'm going to go and write some code for those tests because, well, that's what you do, right? You write a test and you try and make it work again. I've lost my code. Has anybody seen my code? No, it's gone somewhere. Well, I'm just going to try. Okay, I'll start again. There you go. Vim. I actually don't want the server. I want the app. So I've got in my folder over here is a client-side piece of JavaScript, and I'm being really, really, really lazy and just doing a jQuery on load and getting some DOM elements. I'm not using a framework. Oh dear. I was going to show you Backbone and use that kind of thing, but you've all kind of seen it, and you probably use Knockout anyway, and I don't really care. It's just, you know, client-side frameworks, we know about these things anyway because, well, we all write ASP and MVC, and because that's so horrible, we try and write all our code in the client. You been there? No? Okay. I feel I've lost you somewhere along the way. I'll stop making snide remarks about your choice by .NET frameworks anytime soon, I promise. So anyway, when I click that submit button, I want to do some logic. Thank you very much. If you've not written this kind of code before, then, you know, wow, where have you been? I should have left this in there, shouldn't I? Anyway, I'm going to submit that bugger. And I'm just going to do a post request because I'm a badass. And I'm going to do it to the URL of, go home. I am like anti-RESTful right now. Probably. I don't care. I'm building stuff. Yeah. This is going to be the best application you've ever seen. And I'm going to turn HTML from that. Haha. That's right. I'm not passing JSON around because I don't need to. I'm just going to pass HTML around. It's like living in the 90s again. So in the shoutouts, I am going to prepend that HTML. Okay, awesome. This code will totally work, and you will be amazed. There's a bug in my code on my iPad. I'm not copying that code. There we are. Okay. This is going to be the most groovy thing ever. Now, if I run my test now, obviously, nothing's going to happen, because I've not done the server bit yet. Let's see what happens anyway. That's not quite what I intended. Let's try again. There we go, wonderful. So some of my stuff worked in the fact that my text got cleared, but my shout has not appeared on the page. Why is that? Well, that's because I've not written a handler for it yet. So you know this whole thing you do in .NET MVC where you have to like click buttons and things and say add a controller? This is me adding a controller. Wow, well that was easy. Okay, so I've got a controller. Got a problem now. I'll show you what the problem is. Let's run the server. If it's not already running. Is it already running? Well, we'll soon find out, won't we? So look at this thing. Yes, it has. Okay, awesome. When I click that button, what am I sending over the wire? Let's have a look. Wonderful. So I've got, oh, they're blank. Of course they are. I'm sending an actual form, and therefore sending form data with name and shoutout, and I need to get those things out of my request object. How am I going to do that? It's a good question. Thank you for asking. They're not in there right now. If I wanted them, I'd have to parse that form data myself. I don't do things like that. It's hard work. So what I can do is say, could you please use some more middleware? Please parse the body. Thank you very much. That was nice of you. So, pointing out before, all I've got is a bunch of connect modules going, call this, then call that, then call that, then call that. Somewhere along the way, we're going to call this function here, which knows how to extract the form body and put it in an object on the request object. Because we're in a dynamic language, our connect modules can do things like that. So I've now got a params object. Actually, it's a lie, it's body. I've now got a body object on my request thing because it just put it there magically for me. Now, you might get offended by that because there's no clear indication of it, but you get used to it very, very quickly. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. I'm not going to bother storing that just yet. I'm going to just send it down to the wire again. So I'm going to render not index, but shout out. And I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to pass in an item, which is rec.body. There we go. Awesome. So all I'm doing is rendering some HTML and sending down to the client. What does the HTML look like? Well, let's have a look at the views. What I've got is this index file over here. And what I do is I start a rope using my lovely Twitter Bootstrap stuff. And for every item I've got, I'm going to include that file there. That file there looks like this. Ooh, wow, look at that. So I can do partial rendering or full rendering quite happily. I don't really buy into this whole notion of trying to do all this client-side templating stuff. It's quite slow and unwieldy, and it's quite nice turning HTML to the client because it can be cached easily, blah, blah, blah. Don't really care. You certainly don't care. Right, run this now. There you go, my tests have passed. My demos are going exceedingly well today. This is awesome. This is the best day ever. Awesome. Okay. My tests aren't complete, though. My tests aren't complete because, well, why aren't my tests complete? Anyone want to give me a hint here? I've missed out something very crucial. Have you all fallen asleep? Is anyone out there? Hello? 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 Wow, awkward. Okay. Anyway. What I've missed out is persistence. So if I go over here now and say that my name is, well, my name is Rainbow Dash. I like running. Okay, good. So I've got some stuff there. It's pretty fast. It's pretty elite. As you can see, I'm a pretty awesome hacker. Problem is, I've hit refresh. It's not there anymore. Well, bugger. Now, this is where tests always get interesting, because I'm going to need persistence of some sort. And what do you do about that? Well, there's several things you can do about this. We could bring in some form of persistence, so I can just start writing an in-memory version of what I need. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm a badass. I'm going to put an array over here called items, like that. I'm going to place this thing over here with the items I've got over here. And instead of doing that, I'm just going to go and say items.push rec.body. Simplest possible thing that can work, right? Oh, I didn't write a test for that. Oh no. I'm going to get like hell for that. It's fine. If it had some time later on, I'm going to go down that route. So, my name is Applejack. I like picking apples, except when I do not. It's a really cool episode of My Little Pony where Applejack has to pick all the apples in the forest, but there are too many apples, and she gets frustrated and starts crying. It's very sad. Brought a tear to my eye. It's damn awesome. So anyway, that now works. That's awesome. I've got some persistence. Now, this is kind of cool, because I'm doing an in-memory persistence version over here. And it's cool because if I want to go over here now and I want to write a test for that, which I'm actually going to do, kind of, I'm actually going to cheat. I'm going to do the worst possible thing you have ever seen right now. This is awesome. I'm going to add a when to the end of my given when then. Oh, yes, that's right, I'm going to do that. This is bad, you should never do this. It really annoys the BDD people. So I'm going to do it now. Any BDD folk in the audience? Anyone actually practice that? Sorry! Well, actually, I'm not really. I actually want to annoy you. So anyway, so when another client comes along, I'm going to say client 2, because I'm imaginative. And let's actually do client2.loadIndex. I'm going to miss out, like, some awesome things here, and just say, client 2, then that client should now see the data. Client 2 dot. I'm going to copy and paste the code. Oops. I'm like an enterprise node dev hipster, like kind of mashup, copy and code all over the place. Oh dear, well. So I've completely failed at Vim, as you've completely seen just there. I'm going to try that again. There we go. Kind of need client 2 to exist though. Client 2. You know, you see something interesting here as well. Oh dear. Well, shout out is not defined. No, I imagine it's probably not. Because I replaced it, because I'm an idiot. There we go. There, I fixed it. Okay, wonderful. So, what's really cool here is I have some form of persistence, but it's an in-memory form of persistence, and it's geared around my exact needs. And by doing that, I have really fast tests. Now, later on, what I might do is I might choose to do some real persistence, at which point maybe I need some form of interface around that or whatever, but I'm in JavaScript, I don't do interfaces. So what I might actually do is say, well, actually, I want some form of persistence. Please go and give that to me. Building up to a cool finale here. I'm going to say, don't care about that, don't care about that. All I care about here is persistence dot get all items. Now you'll see here that I've got a callback, because most of the time when you're doing persistence, you're probably storing somewhere like, probably not Mongo, because you'll probably lose your data. Redis, you're probably using Redis. And because you're going to Redis as an I/O operation, which means you're probably going to be async. So because I know in the future that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to make everything async. Awesome. So I'm not going to bother checking for an error because I like to live dangerously. I'm just going to say persistence dot store that, please. Thank you very much. And when you're done doing that, I wish you to render that stuff. Happy days. So what I can now do is I can go to persistence over here and write the exact same code I just did. Now this is CommonJS for those that don't know it. Exports. I'm going to export an object literal. I'm going to keep the items in memory still, and I'm simply going to say, please store an item, which is the item with a callback. Where all I do is items.push that goddamn item and call the callback. Wonderful. Actually a problem with that, but I'm not going to bother explaining it just yet. Get all items. Well, this is fairly simple. I'm going to say, please give me a callback. And the first parameter in callbacks in Node, just in case you're wondering, is always going to be air. You do that because it forces them to put air in their code. And by forcing them to put air in their code, they have to handle it. Or in my case, just blithely ignore it. Because I'm a badass, but that's okay. So if I run this now, hopefully my test will tell me that my refactoring went well. That's why I have tests. Awesome. Now, later on in the future, what I may choose to do is make, I don't know, a Redis version of this. So let's say I do that. Let's just say I make a Redis version of this. What I'd probably do now, and this is going to hurt some of your eyes, I'm going to say Redis persistence. Wow. And in memory persistence. And what I can simply do is say, hey, if process.env.test, use one or use the other. Now, this is nasty. This is really nasty. But I'll explain, I'll justify myself. I shall rationalize this to you. So it'll be okay. If you rationalize things, they're okay. That's how it works. Now, by doing something like this, what you get is the ability to test your code, both with your in-memory store and with your real store. So you can run your tests so they're slow, or run your tests so they're fast, which is nice. I could have probably saved that as a JS file rather than a CS file. That would probably be more useful. Wow. I don't actually write C# and Vim, but when I do, I write it in JavaScript, apparently. Let's try and do this again, shall we? Oh no! Oh my god! Again. Alright. I can do this, guys. Aha! Check out this skills. I am skillful indeed. Look at that. Awesome. I've now got JavaScript. Okay, good. So, what I can do is that. Now, what I end up doing most of the time in my applications these days is I normally have some form of bootstrapping area of my code, where I start saying, well, if I'm doing a test, then please bring in these things. I'm not doing a test, can I do these things? Thank you very much. It's not too dissimilar to how I configure some form of container in the .NET world, so I don't feel too dirty about it. I can live with myself quite easily. Probably want to. I'm going to write that and call it Redis persistence because I'm too lazy to bring in Redis. I'm going to test a game. So this is cool. I get a really cool ability to get really fast feedback on the work I'm doing because I'm using Zombie and Node. And development is just pleasurable. And I like when development's pleasurable. I like pleasuring myself. No. I pleasure myself with JavaScript nightly, yes. It's dirty. Okay, so, where are we? I can write a big pile of tests, which is very impressive in CoffeeScript to annoy some people. I can write loads of JavaScript, no semicolons, and I can build up my application organically over time, depending on the things that I want to bring in as I want to bring them in. All of these things I'm doing are entirely optional. You haven't got to do any of this stuff. You can build your own, or you can find something else on the internet. I mean, you know, you can use less if you want to, rather than stylus. I don't know why you would, because stylus is far better, because I use it. But you can do that if you so choose. Rather than Jade, you might choose to use something like, I don't know, plates. Plates is quite good. It's HTML engine. Talk to me after this about templating, and I'll burn your ears off. Talking about push-based templating and pull-based templating. It's an awesome conversation to have, where it's kind of mostly one way of me ranting at you, but, you know, some people find that pleasurable. Mostly sadists. I mean, masochists. I'm the sadist in that particular relationship. All right, cool. So one thing I've done here is I've installed a big pile of Node modules. Awesome. Those are the modules I'm currently using, apparently. If I ask for a list, actually, all those modules are using other modules, it's using other modules to other modules. Like, hey, dude, I heard you like modules. I have some modules in modules. This is fucking awesome. This is one of the beauties of the Node ecosystem. There's like 20 million gazillion modules. I made that number off the top of my head because I can't remember the exact number, and it changes every single day. And they're all really small. And you'll kind of do one thing and export like a single thing to use, which is very nice, which means most modules can be explained in a README. I kind of like that. It makes me happy. A lot of things in Node make me happy, but that's one of the things that makes me happy. And you'll see that over time what I've been doing, apart from when I haven't, is maintain this package file over here, which actually contains the information about my dependencies, which apparently I've completely broken, so there you go. This would ordinarily, if I was being clever, so, for example, if I was installing Jade and calling save, it would automatically update that package for me. That I didn't do that, it's just because I'm lazy. I've completely broken my thing, because I've got like too many things in it. Oh no, I've broken Vim, help! Ah! There, fixed it. I broke it. Oh, well, never mind. Okay. So, you might be asking yourself now, oh, I'm a .NET dev. I can't do that. I need to use Selenium or something and claw my own eyes out. Never fear. I'm on the case. I'm going to show you something really cool which might work. I say might work because I decided yesterday that I might need NuGet. I don't know why I decided that, but I decided I want NuGet. So not only am I running Linux on a MacBook, which is stupid anyway, I decided to try and install a new version of Mono. And things went downhill very quickly from there. At the time, I was imbibing a vast quantity of whiskey as well, which didn't help. At one point, my laptop refused to reboot and I had to drop into a shell and start doing things from scratch. So, if this demo doesn't work, it's not my fault. Oh, how we laugh. Okay. So anyway, these are the modules that I'm using mostly. They're all really cool, and you should check them out. But because there's like 10 million, 10,000 modules, well, you know, it's up to you. I'm going to show you in a second what I'm talking about. But doing your own modules is really cool. But as application developers, which most of us are, we should mostly just be consuming other people's ones and not bothering with this whole authoring modules thing. I mean, it's nice to be like a warm, fuzzy feeling member of the community or whatever, but it's kind of a waste of time building your own frameworks, Mr. Rendell. I got you there. All right. So anyway, .NET guys. I've been working on something. This is a .NET MVC application which I built like a few days ago. I got bored. This is painful. I don't know how I ever used to do this. I found the whole thing to be like, I've got to do what to get a controller and a view and a model? Really? oh, come on, please. Very frustrating. But anyway, I've built some stuff, and it's got some logic, and it's basically a hotel booking system where you can't really do very much because I was too lazy to finish my demo. But it's an application, and it's a .NET MVC application. Now, one of the problems of doing end-to-end testing with .NET MVC and its ilk is the need for IIS or something like that. Now, it's not strictly true. You can do Cassini, but it's not very good. You could do IIS Web Core, but damn, that's painful. So I have decided that I'd write some code. I like writing code, and I actually decided to write a package for npm stuff. It's not that I've actually pushed it up there yet. Okay, here we go. Are you ready for this? Oh no, wrong folder. It's okay. It's okay, don't panic. Oh! Wow, well, there you go then. Now, they're all passing. Look, that's ticks next to them, which means everything must be good. I'm actually doing end-to-end testing of my ASP.MVC application using Node.js and Zombie and some CoffeeScript. But because I'm nice and because I'm going to release it as an actual package, I'm actually writing in JavaScript. Let me show that to you. It's one of the coolest things I've done in a long time. So this is my driver. It does some stuff. I don't worry about this, but I'm basically using Mono's web server, XSP, to actually do this stuff with it. And the plan is to release a NuGet package which actually bootstraps this stuff into Visual Studio, brings the Mono with it, brings a Zombie with it, brings Node with it, brings everything that's required to do the thing with it. If anybody knows NuGet, this is why I'm asking now, please do come and see me, because if I can avoid loading Windows up and PowerShell, I'm going to be a happy man. I don't actually own a Windows machine, and it's not because I don't like Windows, it's just because I don't have it. So if anybody wants to help me with this, greatly appreciated. So anyway, I've written that lovely driver, and what this means is I can write tests like this. These are my JavaScript versions of my CoffeeScript tests. It's kind of nasty. I'm sorry, it's JavaScript. Thankfully, still in semicolons, though. And basically, I can say to my driver, look, it's over there. That's Hotelier, it's my application. Please run it for me. There's drive start and drive stop. And I can do things like launch a browser and visit it, or whatever. It's pretty cool. Now, here's an interesting cookie. What am I doing there? A lot of the time when doing this kind of end-to-end testing, you can't really get away with just doing black box stuff, mainly because either functionality's not been done yet, or because you want to expose some functionality that you'd never actually go through a public API to get. An example of this would be I wrote a game recently where there was a round time, and it took 30 seconds for a round to end. Well, I wasn't going to wait 30 seconds for a round to end for my test to complete, so I did some RPC. With Node, that's really easy. You just go, call a method, please. And by doing that, I'm able to say, hey, start the next round immediately, which means the test run really quickly. I kind of want to do the same thing in .NET land. So because I'm really generous, what I've done is I've written some RPC between Node and .NET. And what this means is I can call add hotel room with an ID and number of 101 or whatever. And if I open up my JavaScript over here, we'll find that my in-memory hotel has a function called add hotel room with ID and number. And I can just call that function from JavaScript land, and I can instrument my web server with that stuff. So I'm maybe looking to finish this. It depends if other people are interested at all. If no one cares, I'm not going to bother because, well, I'm lazy and I have better things to be doing. But what it means is I can write awesome tests like this against ASP.NET MVC. It's CoffeeScript, the best thing to write tests in since, no, it's just the best thing to write tests in, actually. It's awesome. Right, so it's 5 minutes to go. I'm pretty much done. There's some ponies. It's cool. I've lost my code again. Where the hell have my slides gone? Those aren't my slides. Those are my slides. So, when should you use Node? All the time. JavaScript is great. That's my opinion. It's kind of cool. I didn't think this for a while, but then I found the Mozilla guys were also using Node, and they were actually doing like encryption and decryption in Node, which you're not meant to do, and they're being kind of awesome dudes about it. So because they're doing it, I totally feel like I should be doing it as well. Those guys rock. So use Node all the time. Yay, happy days. So you've got 5 minutes of questions if you want them. If you want to follow me on Twitter for some brony love, that's cool. I'm not actually a brony, but I kind of am. So, Questions? I'm going to stand up now and pace a little bit. I've been sitting down for far too long. No? Does no one care? I just showed you the most awesome thing in the world, and no one cares. Gary, is it a serious question? No. What? So it's not a serious question then? Yes, oh, come on. Really? Haddy? What's a brony? You probably don't want to Google it. Especially don't go on Reddit and Google it. You'll Reddit and Google it. You can Google things on Reddit. I don't know. Everyone heard of Clop Clop? No? Yeah, well, you can tell you have. A brony is a bro that likes ponies. Yo. So I've done a really, really dry talk. I'm sorry. I wanted for once to do an informational thing where people weren't laughing at me, because no one ever laughs with me. Any more serious questions? Yes? Sorry? So I'm being asked, is it hard to write and maintain large applications in Node? This is a weighted question and most likely refers to TypeScript. Yeah. Is it hard to write and maintain large applications in C#? Yes. The answer is yes. There's no other question for the answer, dude. Seriously, I mean, every single enterprise company I go work in has 25, 50 project solutions. Resharp is what, 300 projects? Yeah, it's crazy. No tooling will work with that apart from Resharper, which is kind of good for you guys, I guess, dog fooding. Is it easy to maintain that? Well, if you write bad code, yes, of course it is. If you don't break things down into discrete modules that do one thing and are well documented, then you're going to have a whale of a time in any language. So the question you can ask there, I guess, is what about tooling and things like that? Most of the time, tooling such as Resharper, sorry Haddy, is a crutch. And it does enable you to do the wrong thing faster than you can do the right thing a lot of the time. Bam, 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 please generate some methods, please navigate over there, please rename my interface across my entire project or my entire solution. If you're renaming an interface across 20 projects, you're doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't be doing things like that. If you're making a component and that component is used by a bunch of other components, then it should be a separate project. It's something that you look after separately. You version it separately. You look after it separately. You know, it's a component being consumed by other things. And that's one of the cool things about Node, I guess, is the emphasis on building those small modules that kind of just get on and do one thing. Like I say, most modules in Node can be described with a single README file. And they are largely versioned and tend to maintain some semblance of backwards compatibility, at least the more mature versions of those things do. And that's just sensible. Generally tend to have a rule of thumb thing for this, which is if I can't keep the context required to work on my application open in a single instance of Vim, then I have too much context. I need to break it down a little bit and think about what I'm doing. And you go by that kind of rationale, and things are kind of okay. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy to write applications that are maintainable full stop. It doesn't matter what language you're using. That's why we write some tests. It's why we do this stuff. It's to actually give you the flexibility and agility to kind of add in new features in the future. So that's a really, really long question to answer. I'm sorry, I rambled a little bit. Go and read some Uncle Bob books or something, because apparently you guys don't love him yet. So probably because you've met him. I don't know. Oh, okay, cool. Any other questions? Awesome. I think it's lunchtime, isn't it? Good. That means we're all happy. We can escape from the evil clutches of JavaScript. I promise I will not talk anymore. Thank you.